Hello, and welcome to the Crescent Payroll Solutions online payroll platform overview training. My name is Michael Davidson, Implementation Specialist with Crescent Payroll Solutions, and I'll be conducting the demonstration today. A few training topics that we will cover during the demonstration. First is the dashboard screen, some company level setup, employee information in terms of processing new hires, terminations, and overall employee data maintenance, payroll specific to creating a payroll, entering hours, earnings, and deductions, saving and reviewing the payroll, and submitting for processing. Finally, we'll review how to pull reports to review the payroll prior to submitting, as well as in an on-needed basis. As we go through the demo, please keep in mind that I'll be working with our sandbox client, and the general data might not match specific to your company, but will be customized during the implementation process. As we get started, you'll notice that the main topics are covered on the left-hand side in these tiles regarding your dashboard, company information, employee information, payroll and payroll processing, reports, and settings regarding your specific user account. On the general dashboard, you'll see a timeline of payrolls that have been processed, as well as upcoming payrolls. You are able to use the agenda feature to manage a calendar within the payroll software. As well as each payroll, you'll notice two graphs that will be populated with the previous payroll's information as a quick snapshot regarding the percentage of taxes, wages, live checks, direct deposits, etc. You'll always receive your reports, but on the dashboard screen here, there will be two easy charts to help identify that information if you prefer. On to the company-specific information on that tile. A lot of this information will be read-only and set up during the implementation process regarding the company's name, address, DBA if applicable, as well as on the right-hand side, the company code, who your service representative is, as well as the bank accounts that we'll be using for payroll, tax, and any billing. Organizational levels can be set up regarding departments to allocate employees' hours to various departments on an ongoing or ad hoc basis. You'll notice in our example, we have one location which has different departments set up for produce, administration, bakery, cashier, and supervisor. These can be set up during the implementation process or going forward throughout the year. If you need to add a department, we can help you as well. Regarding earnings and deductions, on the company level list is a standard list for most of our clients that will suffice for any earnings or deductions that they'll be processing throughout the year. If you have a specific need for a certain earning or deduction, please let us know and we can set that up for you. Certain deductions do have specific taxation, so we would want to make sure that we have an appropriate earning or deduction set up specific to what you are trying to accomplish through payroll. This list will be easily accessible through payroll in order to add one-time or ongoing deductions. Lastly, states will show you the states in which the business is currently operating and we have set up, as well as any state unemployment or state employer IDs and the current unemployment rate. Moving on to employees. The two main areas that you'll use most are the employees and the payroll section. Before walking you through a new hire process, I want to show you what general employee maintenance would look like. You'll see when you click on the employee tile, they are shown in a list view, which can be accessible by double-clicking the employee, or you do have the ability to search directly for an employee if you have multiple pages. There's two ways to drill down into that employee's information. One would be by double-clicking their name to pull up their specific information, or on the right-hand side, you'll notice the difference table view as well as the form view. We are in the table view. Let's say I want to select Jeff Richardson. I can go over to the form view and drill down into that employee's information. Once an employee is hired and will be paid throughout the year, their information will populate into these tabs and can be easily updated throughout the year. Personal information specific to the employee's Social Security number, name, address, and general employment status regarding an active employee with their current hire date, termination date if applicable, as well as any benefit information if we are helping you manage that. Information can easily be updated by clicking the tabs on the left-hand side. Specific to their pay is a common change or verification that might be done throughout the year. By clicking on the Pay tab, you can go in, verify their amount either on a salary basis or down to rate number or rate amount if they're an hourly employee. For example, we want to go ahead and change Jeff Richardson's salary from $2,300 per pay period to $2,500 per pay period. Once the change is made, we'll notice the disk icon to save the changes will be highlighted, or the X if you don't want to save those specific changes. In this case, I want to go ahead and change Jeff's salary to $2,500, and I'll click the Save icon, letting me know in the upper right-hand corner that my changes were saved successfully. There is also ease of navigation between employees by clicking the arrows on the left-hand side or the right-hand side to navigate to different employees, keeping yourself on that same pay screen. Any other changes that need to be made specific to an employee's federal taxes, showing, for example, married with one, easily changed from the drop-down and saved, down to the state taxes. We'll show specific states that the employee resides in. Updates can be made on the drop-down menu or from the drop-down menu in the compressed view. If you have direct deposit for your employees, you can verify in the account and routing number on the direct deposit screen, as well as add an account if the employee does not have direct deposit but would like so in the future. Important to note, I'm going to walk through that process right now because direct deposit specifically is treated as a deduction. So in addition to scheduling the bank account for a certain employee, you will also need to schedule the earning and deduction in this case in order for the direct deposit to be deducted from their check and deposited into the bank account. Walking you through that process will look like this. We want to go ahead and add an account. In this case, since it's our demo account, we're just going to use all zeros. This is where you will want to verify the routing number from the employee's voided check and their bank account. Once that information is saved, and the new direct deposit account is showing, I want to then go to Scheduled EDs. As you can see, currently we do not have an earning or deduction scheduled for the direct deposit. So I want to add, and this is the same process for adding any sort of earning or deduction on an ongoing basis for that employee. The code is the same list that I showed you in the company level setup. I would want to, in this case, scroll down to direct deposit DD01, net pay direct deposit. This will automatically populate the functions of that deduction, which don't need to be changed in terms of the calculation method, amount, percentage. In this case, I want the employee's full net deposit to be directly deposited into this account. The last step would be to click the Send To drop-down list. I want to send it to direct deposit, and right below that, select the account that I would like to directly deposit those funds into. I'll go ahead and save my changes. Keep in mind, adding earnings and deductions, as well as scheduling direct deposit, will be covered in additional recorded trainings. So if you manage additional direct deposits or your staff and new hires have direct deposit, please be sure to view that recording as we will go into further detail. At any time during the viewing of earnings or deductions, you have the ability to minimize that window to create more of a list view. Lastly, on the Employees tab, in terms of delivery as well as notes, notes can be added to the employee for remembering at a later date and saved at your convenience. Adding a new hire begins by clicking the plus sign. So once you have gathered the employee's documents as well as their tax forms and you're ready to process them as a new hire, you'll want to come to the plus sign. You'll show Add a New Employee. This will bring you to one of two views, the basic view, which will have all of those tabs in one screen, easily input, or the advanced view, where you would be clicking from tab to tab to fill out the information until you were complete. Keep in mind, this Social Security checker is only checking for duplicates within your company. Once I have entered the Social Security number, the new hire screen will populate. To fill out all of the required information, you'll notice the fields with the asterisk is required information regarding their first name, last name, address, gender, status. Your new hires will default to an active status, their current hire date, their pay. Make sure the frequency is showing what your current pay frequency is, and either a salary amount if the employee is salaried or an hourly rate under rate 1. If you have an employee with multiple rates, you can enter rate 1, rate 2, rate 3, and those rates would be selected when processing payroll. Federal and state taxation can be entered from the drop-downs here. If local taxes do not apply, skip over that field, as well as any healthcare reform or ACA provisions. If you feel that you qualify or have any other questions regarding that, please contact us at the office. If the employee has a child support order, your implementation or service representative can assist you in getting that set up. And lastly, as we just covered, direct deposit account can be entered. Then the next step would be to schedule the direct deposit deduction. And any notes to go ahead and complete the new hire process and save. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this and move on to payroll. Prior to processing payroll, you'll want to ensure that any employee maintenance has been updated, so when you open your batch, all of the information will pull correctly. So any pay rate changes, new hires, terminations, etc., will all want to be done before you have created your batch. Moving on to processing payroll. By clicking on the Payroll tab, you'll show your cards of your current payroll, previous payroll, and future payrolls. In this example, we have already processed the December 4th payroll. You have the ability to use the binoculars to view what has been processed. For the sake of the demo, I'm going to move on into December and show the 12/18 payroll being processed. You'll notice once again, in order to start the payroll, you'll click the plus sign, and that's going to open the payroll for that date. A lot of this information will be pre-populated and won't need to be changed regarding your start date for the pay period and end date for that pay period, frequency for those employees. If you have salary and hourly employees and would like to build a template to pull various batches for those employees, we can work with you on that. But most clients will default just to the all template and have all employees pull into their batch upon creation. Once this data is accurate, we're going to go ahead and click Create Checks. And that's going to build our grid with our active employees, salaries, as well as the opportunity to add any earnings and deductions. So for example, you see all of my active employees pulled for our Sandbox client. In terms of earnings and deductions that we currently have set up, we have our salaried employees, hours for our regular employees, which will then be totaled as the amount. Now, if you're in the payroll, you have the ability to, one, resize these columns to your preference, as well as add or remove deductions or earnings that you currently are not using or need to process one time. For example, let's say for this company, we need to add a bonus for an employee, as well as a commission. I now have my amount bonus column and commission and can be entered for each employee. These columns can also be rearranged by dragging and dropping them in the particular order that you prefer. Once you have your grid set the way you like it, it should continue to show that way for future payrolls. So, quickly, we'll go ahead and enter some data for the employees. We show Eric Smith earned 72 hours. You can use the tab feature or the arrows on your computer to navigate through the grid. Rachel Miller is a salaried employee. Same with Jeff. Down here for Robert, Robert has 75.5 hours and $125 in commission. Paula is a salaried employee. Alex, 56 hours. Richard Fowler. Shelley Smith, 80 hours. And another common earning is overtime. So we want to add overtime by the hours. Last two, Tony Smith is a salaried employee, and Todd Smith is an hourly employee with 65.82 hours, and earn a bonus of $50. Now, this is the summary view for the information, which I'm going to go ahead and save. There's three different views where you can view the payroll information. And you'll notice that when I saved the data, the blue circle with the I shows me that there's more than one check line for this ED code or this check, which means there's more than one check line associated to this employee. And how you'll view that is by selecting one of the different views. This right here is the summary view. We'll drill down into the summary detail view, which shows all of the employees listed, but here it will show their check lines. So for example, what I mean by check line is we have our employee Jeff Richardson with the total hours and their salary, and we can view the lines of their check that they will be paid regarding the salaried amount of $2,500. We're just recording the 80 hours to show what they have worked, and we have the direct deposit deduction as well. You can easily add or remove check lines while in this view. So for example, in this view, let's say I want to add a commission amount. By clicking the Add Check Line and selecting the earning code for commission, I can now enter the commission amount on this new check line. The next view, which is even isolating each employee on their own screen, is the detail view. Now, instead of showing all of the employees, it isolates each employee one by one to further verify those check lines, with giving you the ability to add or delete check lines, as well as recalculate their check once the check lines have been adjusted. You'll notice in this view, you also have the ability to adjust any taxes for this specific paycheck, as well as review the changes that you just made prior to moving forward in pre-processing the payroll. This would be helpful as well if you have employees with multiple pay rates. At this point, you can add a check line, change the pay rate if needed, and pre-process that check to view the new total. Adding multiple check lines will also be covered in an additional training. So if that is something that's specific to your company, please view that training or reach out to us and we'll show you how to process that. Navigating back to my batch is easy by switching the table view. So in this case, I have all of my hours entered and I'm ready to pre-process my payroll to confirm its accuracy in order to submit. The next step, once I have all of my information complete, would be to go to the totals page. This gives me an opportunity to verify the totals for earnings, hours, deductions, and any other items I want to verify prior to processing payroll. The next few steps are very important, so I'll go a little slower in terms of calculating the payroll, pre-processing the register in order to verify its accuracy, and submitting for processing. The first step that I want to do is to click the Calculate button, which will take all of the data that I've entered and calculate it in terms of a pre-processing. You notice that the status has changed to pre-processing, and my report has been viewed to the task queue. The payroll status has just changed to pending. So the system has pre-processed the payroll, completed that task, and is now in a pending stage, waiting to be submitted or additional changes made. The next step to pre-process the payroll would be to go out of the Payrolls tab and into the Reports tab. From here, this is going to default to the Payroll Register report, which is the easiest one to verify your data entry. On the right-hand side, you will see the parameters for which we want to run the report for. I always recommend choosing these dates directly to the pay date for the payroll that you are looking to process. For example, December 18th. December 18th, I want to include all payrolls, and now the payroll that I've pre-processed shows below. I'll select it by clicking the box. We show that it is a pending status, and then you have the ability to add additional filters for this specific report if you like. I want to run it for all employees, so I'm not going to select anything from the employee filter or the organizational filter. Miscellaneous options is a place where you can select various viewing of the reports as well as sorting. So for example, I would like to sort the report by the employee's last name. Everything else looks good. One common one that I always uncheck is break employee between pages. That way you don't have an employee with information at the end of one page and the beginning of another. And when ready, you'll click on the Report tab, Run Report, and down here we'll show you the parameters for what you've selected, and we want to click Run this report. Your task has been added to the queue. Great, that means it's successful. Where we view the report is the task queue in the lower left-hand corner, highlighted here. We show one pending report, and after a few seconds, and the system has processed it, that will update. When ready to view it, you'll click on this arrow to show the task queue. That will bring up the report that you just ran in this window. It will show you the results as well as a log if there was any issues running the report. But we can see here that this task has run successfully at the time being processed and specific to your company. Now, you can choose to view the information on the screen, or if you click the Save icon, this should give you the opportunity to save it as a PDF or print it at your convenience. So in order to verify this payroll, I want to pre-process, which I'm doing now, and verify the data entry that I've entered in terms of hours, earnings, and deductions. A common item would be to verify your new hires that you have recently processed are showing with direct deposit. If not, you'll notice that someone receiving a live check or a paper check will have regular here with their amount. An employee on direct deposit will show a memo and a regular amount of 0 because their paycheck has been deducted and issued to their direct deposit account. So this links back to the need to set up the direct deposit deduction in order for that employee to receive it into their account. Department information will be totaled, as well as the final company total at the last page. One other place to verify your data entry is accurate, number of checks being issued, as well as year-to-dates for employee earnings and employer taxes. Once this information is confirmed and accurate, we are ready to submit our payroll. We'll go ahead and go back to our task queue, minimizing that by selecting the Hide button. And now we want to go back into the payroll screen. Great. We show that the 12/18 payroll is pending, and I want to select the box with the pencil in order to go back into my batch and follow the timelines in the upper right-hand corner. The checks are accurate. I have processed my totals to verify the payroll is accurate to what I would like to process. And lastly, I'm going to go to the Finish tab. Here, I want to submit payroll to Crescent Payroll Solutions, so we are going to just select the Submit Payroll button. You'll notice submittal options. It does have the ability to block certain payments, which we would not recommend, as it's important to receive your checks, reports, and if we're doing any accruals on your behalf. So I'm ready to submit. I'll click the Submit Payroll button. You'll receive the note, this payroll has been submitted to Crescent Payroll Solutions, Inc. and timestamped, and notice the status of our payroll has now changed to submitted. Once we receive the payroll for processing, you will see that this will then go to a green process status and payroll is complete. You have the ability to run ad hoc reporting. Notice that the payroll register is the default report, and some of these may or may not apply to your company. We have a general list here. So if you have specific reporting needs, please contact your implementation specialist or your service representative, and we can set up the appropriate reports for your account. Lastly, at the bottom, you'll see the Settings tab, and this gives you the opportunity to change your current password, as well as change your security questions. So upon initial enrollment into the system, you will be asked to update your security questions, but throughout the year, if you would like to change them, feel free to do so on the Settings tab. So in review, going back to our dashboard, this is your general page of information. You can use the agenda calendar to add events or reminders specific to payroll, company level data, employee information, payroll and payroll processing, and running reports, and changing your settings. While I go back to the dashboard, that will conclude this training. If you have any questions specific to what was covered or need additional information, please reach out to us. We are happy to help. Thank you very much.